You're listening to Up the Turnpike with hosts Mitch Anderson and Matt O'Leary.
Hello and welcome into Up the Turnpike here on YouTube. I'm Matt O'Leary, joined by Mitch Anderson. Mitch, how's it going today?
A case of the Mondays on a Tuesday, which is wild. I guess because of the long weekend, even here in Canada, just fighting the day is really what is happening with me. What about you?
Kind of in the same boat, but we
All right.
did get some Islanders news late this morning that I thought was worthwhile to hop on here for a few minutes and talk about, which is, according to reports from the agent of Maxim Tsyplakov, the Islanders and Maxim Tsyplakov are working on a new contract for him.
That's a first. The agent comes out and says, "Yeah, we're talking with Lou. You ain't talking no more, I guess."
It was fun while it lasted with Maxim Tsyplakov on the Islanders, but no, in all seriousness, I think, we look at what happened with Tsyplakov. They pulled him in from Russia in year one. He signed to a 1-year contract. Now, his cap hit is $950,000, but I thought it was interesting. The actual value of the contract is $1.95 million. So I think maybe we put a pin in that to talk about what his next deal could look like, but essentially signs a 1-year deal as a trial and has been solid this year for the Islanders. 25 points in 51 games, 7 goals, and over the last 5 games has 5 points. So turn it on late.
Yeah, and most of them assists, not necessarily the goal machine that maybe some were thinking that he might be. There's no shot at them. Like it's hard to predict what someone coming from the KHL at his age would be coming into the NHL. I know myself. I went back and looked at our video when Maxim Tsyplakov was scoring bar down in training camp, and you're going, expectations were super high for this guy. And I said, oh, well, let's temper expectations. He's going to be a bottom sixer. I was wrong. He's clearly not going to be a bottom sixer. He's a middle sixer, right? Third line, second line type guy. And that's fine. And for the price we paid for it, it's kind of a win, isn't it?
And it absolutely is a win. I think, he started off this year on the second line and started off pretty hot and then got a little cold, but has moved around the lineup. I think the role that I like him in the best is on the third line. Mm-hmm. I think, for long periods of time, him on the second line, I don't know if he's going to be able to be as productive as he might need to be in that role. But let's assume like he's pacing for just under 40 points this year. If he's going to give you 35 to 45 points in a season, I think that's more than capable on a third line. And then you factor in his, with his size and throwing the body around a little bit, I think he's better suited for that role.
Yeah, 108 hits on the season already, so he's averaging well over 2 a game. Sorry, I got to sneeze here at some point. 17 giveaways, 17 takeaways, 59 giveaways. Guy's been pretty good at doing the things off the puck, if you will, that we need someone in his position to do.
Oh,
not coming. Nope, false alarm.
I thought you were going to make another point. That's why I was letting it hang for you. No, yeah, and average time on ice 15:59, which is usually on par for someone in the middle six there.
Yeah, and with his production, like already we're seeing he's a 40-point player, or at least on pace for. But we have to remember there was that month or 17 games where Brock Nelson didn't score a goal and had 2 or 3 points in that stretch. Maybe not that bad, but it was not. It's certainly goalless over. It was a 17-game stretch there. But I don't know about pointless either way. And Kyle Palmieri was just as quiet. So his line mates weren't doing a whole lot either. So that necessitated the moving around type of thing because they weren't going to break up Brock and Palmieri. So maybe the production could have even been higher had the guys he was around more often than not been a little bit more productive. So not only is the stuff off the puck working, the stuff on the puck is working, let alone some of the heady plays that he's making, again, with or without it, right? Like the cutting through players and trying to go around other players and succeeding often enough. He has been impressive. Can't deny it.
No, he absolutely has been. And I think we're all on board with the Islanders giving Tsyplakov an extension, right? We're not looking at it like, oh, this is some sort of mistake. He should have been trade bait. He's 26 years old. I don't think he's going to be looking at a long-term deal. Maybe that's what we get into now in this. Like, are you looking at a 7-year contract extension for Maxim Tsyplakov, a 2-year bridge deal, split the difference? Where are you with this?
I'm at a 2-year deal. Who knows what the hell Lou's at, right? Because the last contracts he handed out for these type of players, we were talking about Pierre Engvall and Scott Mayfield, there were 7-year bangers. Sure enough, the cap hit was manageable, but like 7 years, all the trade protection. So you can't deny that that's a possibility here. Can't.
It definitely is on the table. I don't think that's the route that this ends up going, though, because I think while Tsyplakov, I think, has shown that he's an NHL player, he's been in the league significantly shorter than either Scott Mayfield or Pierre Engvall. So my hope / expectation is a 2 or 3 year deal, and probably in the $3.5 million range.
Yeah, somewhere between 3 and 4. And maybe some of you are like, whoa, that's too high. You're probably right. But we have to remember that the cap is going up. So that's going to inflate what would have been maybe $2 to $2.5 million deal, but like last year. So if Pierre Engvall is getting 3.5, and he was pacing out to be quite the same thing when he played with the Island, not when he's still playing with them. Engvall, although it barely seems like he is.
Yeah, when he first got here.
Yeah, when he first got here that first year, when he came from Toronto, 9 points in 18 games, right? And then he signed that deal. 9 over 18 times 82 is 41-point pace. More goals than Tsyplakov, right? Because he had 5 and 18 of those 9 points for goals. So like he's maybe scoring a few more, but still he's getting 3.5, I would say, at least, right? Maybe not at least. Should be getting around 3.5.
I think that's fair when you factor in the cap going up and the price of everyone is probably going to be a little bit higher. Like if you told me before the start of the season and before we knew how much the cap was going to go up, that on his next deal would be around 2.5 to 3 million, I'd have said, okay, yeah, I get that. That makes sense. When you factor in how much the cap's rising and the percentage that his new deal would take up, I think I'm landing on closer to 3.5 than I am to 3.
Yeah, I'm totally with you there. Like maybe give or take $250,000 each way, so 325 to 375 seems fair. Once you get going higher than that, like then you got to add in like inflationary stuff. Like maybe it gets a bit higher, but the higher you go, the riskier this could become, because we're not talking about a guy who is 22 years old, right, and is gonna get significantly better. He is 26 years old, going to go 27 in September. He might still get better as he adapts to the league, but I don't think we're going to see all of a sudden a 70-point player out of this guy. I think it's 40 to 50 points, which is still good, but you don't pay him like what you're expecting more out of him.
Correct. And if you're paying him, and if you're getting 40 to 50 points, let's say, and you're paying him $3.5 million, and you're paying that through his 20s and not like through his mid 30s, then that's fine. And then for Tsyplakov's sake, right, if it's a 2 or 3 year deal, that means he's either becoming a UFA at 29 or 30. So he could still get another maybe longer term contract on top of that.
That's right. Yeah. So like 2 to 3 years is what we're looking at. Well, we'll see what the Islanders and he end up working out. Effectively, the way that I like to look at it when you're looking at the numbers is every $1 million is effectively a 10 points. So if he's getting $5 million, the Islanders and the Islanders figure he could probably be a 50-point player, right? Whereas with Engvall, you're thinking 35 to 40-point player, right? So that all kind of makes sense. For forwards, that obviously that math does not check out for defensemen at all whatsoever. Scott Mayfield's never putting up 35 points.
No, and yeah, I think it makes a little bit more sense with forwards when you use that scale. Defenseman's a little bit trickier, obviously. But I think that's a fair and realistic expectation.
Yeah. And so that's what we'll see happen. And then it's going to be what kind of trade protection does this guy get? Lou loves to give out no move clauses, modified no trade clauses for 16 teams. I don't know if he gets one on a bridge deal, but we shall see. Yeah.
I would lean towards no, but as you said before, you never can tell with Lou Lamoriello.
That's true. We'll see what happens of it. So let us know in the comments below what you think, not only what he will get, because obviously some will say that, but what you think he should get, type of thing.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for hanging out with us. Subscribe if you're new. Leave a like before you get out of here. I'm Matt. He's Mitch, and we'll catch you next time.